Welcome back. As you could see in my introduction, today I'm going to show you some of my highlights from my trip to Moscow. Not too long ago, I went on a trip, one of my dream trips, a trip that I had been fantasizing about for years and years. I did the Trans Mongolian Express together with Miguel. This video is the first episode in a series. The series will be about 3 or 4 episodes, and we will see everything from Moscow to Irkutsk to Lake Baikal. We will see Tyrol National Park, and then we will take the train back to Beijing. Today is the first episode, and in this episode I'm going to show you some of the highlights from the journey. Let's get started, and let's start with our first destination, Moscow. We had about a day and a half, 2 days to spend in Moscow, and I feel like we did quite a bit actually. We went on 2 tours and we saw the Cosmonaut Museum, and we explored the city and some musea by ourselves. So for us it was quite alright. I could have maybe stayed a little bit longer, but unfortunately because of the train schedules we couldn't. For me, it wasn't the first time to visit Moscow. In 2008 I had visited the city as well. I just remember again that I was so impressed by seeing the Red Square. It is like massive and it's just so beautiful. The architecture is there's a lot of different styles of buildings, which makes it really a nice square to walk on. I really love the cathedral with all its colors. It's just, I don't know, it has something to it that makes it very special. You can go in and explore the cathedral. There's a lot to see in there, so I really recommend going inside. I think that was one of the highlights of my visit to Moscow. One of the things Miguel and I really like to do when we travel is go on food tours or explore food markets and really try local food. Before we left Beijing, we did some research online and we found a girl who hosts food tours in Moscow. She's a local, and we decided to go on a tour with her. We started the tour in a small restaurant not too far from our meeting point, and our tour guide Natasha, she bought some cheburek for us. And cheburek is like a Tatarian from the Krim Tatarian dish, and you have a big round dough, and they fill that dough with meat, and then they fold it and then deep fry it, and then you have all the juices from the meat coming out. Of course, we also ate some borscht. We ate that at a restaurant not too far from the Red Square. And I remember there were all these little cute cups and posters on the wall on bookshelves. The borscht was really good, especially with some of the fresh bread we got as well as the sour cream. After we ate a lot of different dishes, Natasha took us to a place for a drink. That's where she introduced us to the drink kvass, K-V-A-S-S. That is a drink made of rye bread, of fermented rye bread. Fermented rye bread, that sounds weird, I get it. But you should try it. I was a little bit hesitant at the beginning, but then after I tried a few sips, I was like, oh, this is actually really good. It wasn't too sweet because I don't like sweet drinks, and it wasn't so bitter either. I thought it might be a little bit bitter, but it wasn't that bitter. We went to a couple of other places, and most of the places had really good food, and then there were also a few that were like theme restaurants. And that was a lot of fun too, to go to those places. So if you are ever in Moscow and you're looking for a food tour that is not super expensive, I would definitely recommend Natasha, her tour. I will put the link in the description below as well, so you can check that out for yourself. Another tour that we did was a subway tour. Usually Miguel and I don't really take tours. We like to explore places on our own pace, go wherever we want, so we have enough time to take pictures and to film. But in this case, because we had limited time in Moscow, we decided to also do a subway tour. I had good experiences with strawberry tours. I went on a tour with them in Melbourne, and just a couple of days before I was in Moscow, I also did a tour with them in London, and I really liked the tours that I did there with them. So I signed us up for a subway tour in Moscow as well. As you might know, they call the Moscow subway an underground palace. If you ever have been to Moscow and you've seen the subways, you know why they call it that way. I remembered from my previous trip that the subways are just amazing. There are subway stops with lots of windows with stained glass. There are subway stops where there are many statues all through the middle part of the subway. There are subway stops where on both ends of the station you have these massive paintings or mosaics. It is just unbelievable. So if you are ever in Moscow, definitely go explore some of those subway stops. Although the quality of the tour wasn't that high, I still enjoyed seeing all the subway stations. Like I said, it's just amazing. It's an underground palace and it's truly worth spending some of your time in Moscow on the subway. During the 2 days that I was in Moscow, I also visited the Memorial Museum of Cosmonautics. This is a museum that is dedicated to space exploration. You will find a lot of rockets there and a lot of information about the Russian space exploration. Personally, I'm not super interested in space and the exploration of space, but to my surprise, I thought that the museum was actually really interesting. There's a lot of information, there's a lot to learn. You can see a lot of rockets, you can go into some of them. So I think it is really worth a visit. This museum should really be on your list if you are traveling to Moscow with kids. The design of the inside of the museum isn't that great, but the outside of the museum looks really cool. The outside of the museum is a monument to the conquerors of space. It's a super tall building, you can see it from far away. It shines in the sunlight and it's a really cool building to see and you can walk around. The whole area around the museum is kind of a park. There's a big square and it is really fun to go there after your visit to the museum. If you go to the museum at the end of the day, late in the afternoon, and then go to the park and the square, you will see a lot of Russians just spending their time with friends and family, just hanging out and chilling, especially in summer. I was there in summer and I saw a lot of people playing roller skates. There was small bands who were performing, making music. It was a lot of fun and it was a really nice atmosphere. So that is another thing that you can do after you visit the Cosmonaut Museum. I had actually planned to also talk about Yekaterinburg, about Irkutsk, about Lake Baikal in this video, but I have a feeling that this part about Moscow is already getting pretty long, so I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna send you off with some nice shots of the train journey from Moscow to Yekaterinburg, and then in our next video we will continue the series in Yekaterinburg. If you don't want to miss any of my next episodes of this epic journey along the Trans Mongolian Express, make sure to subscribe to my channel and to hit the notification bell so you get notified when the next episode is up. Give the video a thumbs up, a like, it would really help my channel, and I would love to hear from you in the comments below. What did you think of Moscow? I'm curious to hear from you. Have you been there? Would you ever consider taking this journey and be on the train for days on end? Let me know in a comment and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.